Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the Matthews survey feedback coloring activity right here. Is I went ahead and drew this like an example right here. If this would have been me right here, and I'll go ahead and add a little bit of detail right here. It's like for the face it is, but anyway, that if this was like me right here, getting all frustrated if it was anything related to school assignments or anything like that, or anything else that. More likely that if it was for work reasons, or if it was for taking care of the car, I'm like any surveys that we may think about that to complete one of these days, if it had anything to do with maybe with if we would have bought a car, or if we would have renewed a driver's license, or if it was anything related to maybe filing our taxes or anything like that, that more likely that most companies would ask you to take a few minutes to complete a survey. And a lot of times that some of them are done online, and then some of them that they may say that they give you a form they mail you a form. A lot of times, if most of us have gotten those in the mail, it is that they're like forms to where if it's a city or the district council or something like that, that they mail you a survey. And a lot of times that it says on the survey though that your opinion counts a lot of times, and a lot of times some people that may say that I don't think it does, because on the other hand too, I'm just visiting. Some people that may say that, well, I'm just visiting, I'm new to the city, or I'm new to this district or something like that. But on the other hand too, that knowing about with most surveys though, that if we were to complete the survey, it is that we may think that when we don't make the rules to how the money is spent, or what's allowed and what's not allowed, other than the rule is, the law is that you can't have this off of you can't have this off a campus or something like that, or the rule is that you have to pay this bill at this way, or something like that. And a lot of times though that I completed a lot of surveys related to my classes, it is due to online schooling, it is, and then some of them that could have been related to paying a bill. And with anybody that may think about, if you're going to complete an online survey, it is a lot of times that they ask you questions such as the experience. I guess it's called by which calls the experience, and which is called, for the experience of it's like the time. If it's shopping, or if it's anything related to doing stuff online, or anything like that. And a lot of times though that with most internet sites and companies that do that, to where that they have you take a survey, it is. And a lot of times that really, if there's really a right or wrong answer, to where a lot of times that they give you a number of pages, or if it's an online just like an online page, to where that they give you say a box or a circle to put a check mark or anything like that on just to say between highly satisfied and or between very important and not so important, or very satisfied or dissatisfied, it is. And I just really think that the whole matter is that about your feedback though, that they want to know, of course, about how well from about the services that were provided, it is. And I can tell anybody here that I don't remember my very first survey. I would probably say that maybe whenever I started using, if I can remember right, that I think it was in school that there was some surveys. I think that they that there was one survey, of course, for good quality feedback, it is. And I can remember that the first survey I think I had gotten, I think, was from my shopping experience, it was. But other than that, all the other surveys, it was like anything that I do, if it's related to if you bought something from the store, or if it's anything related to paying a bill online or something like that, that a lot of times the companies would ask you to participate in a survey. And a lot of times we begin to wonder about with these surveys though, that are they just trying to get our attention? I'm like knowing about that after you purchase this product, or after you use this service, it is that we want to know about your opinion about it. And some people that may say that what are you asking me for? But on the other hand, that some people that may say that you know what, with the service though, I don't like the service because on your hand too, that it took too long. Of course, that I lost my connection those couple of times, or if it's that during my experience shopping online, that my credit card, or my debit card, the electronic check was not accepted, and it kept telling me. And then plus, anybody that may say, I can tell anybody here that I could maybe say that I would not agree with the fact about being charged about maybe $1 or $2, something like that, maybe a couple bucks just to pay a bill online. And they say if you're paying by debit card or credit card, we're going to have to charge you $1.25 just to complete the whole purpose of the transaction it is. And there's some people that may say, why? Well, why are you charging me whenever you know that I had to pay about $43 tax on top of that. Plus, anybody say between the get in the car, safety inspection, and then all the other thing too. Other things that are related to like what you call is like for the survey. So, and of course it could be classes, and of course other companies too. But I guess the whole purpose about what I would probably have to say about the whole part about the feedback though, about how well the services are, about if we're going to be completing a survey, a customer or student satisfaction survey, or any type of survey it is, basically talking about other people's opinion about how well the service works it is. And some people that may have their own opinions, some of them that may say that I absolutely love it, and some that may say that no, I don't like it. I have problems that. Especially paying a bill online, that maybe login issue, other technical problems it is, or it could have been related to that a biggest headache of knowing about that that the cost was just a little bit more than I expected. And some people that may say that I think it's absolutely important, and yeah, that from waiting time is fair, but basically though, that to anybody who uses any online sites it is, if it's going to be like maybe Amazon.com or somewhere like that if you're going to be shopping somewhere or using some type of service it is, that a lot of times that they have it to where that you complete a survey. And with some people that may say that don't make the rules, I don't make the rules, and I don't know why you keep asking me about do you think that how do you rate this scale between 1 and 5, between very excellent so far as talking about paying out the medical expenses it is, but knowing about how do you think that the nurses and practitioners or something handled your phone call from the last time you talked, or anything like that. But it's like if we would say you calculate by the math it is, but on the other hand too, that I really think the whole matter is that yeah, for the importance though, the important part, if it's related to any type of schooling or anything like that, if it's class or anything like that, any type of school though, or if it's anything related to business reasons or anything like that. And I just really think about the whole part about this is like that. I guess you could say the truth of the matter is of knowing about that that the whole part about taking these surveys though, that knowing about that how well your term performed with how you did, and on your hand too that knowing about it's like for the best for the future it is of knowing about for the time well-being spent with the on the survey it is. But on your hand too, the way I would think about it, that to show importance is to show that the show the most important part, of course, about the surveys. So that knowing about it, that for what I would probably say the word would be like what I would usually say is like for the word create. Whenever we create an account, whenever we create an online account, it is a lot of times that we could probably say that we are responsible for a number of things. It's like so far, yeah, for responsible. We are responsible, say, for a number of things. It is one of those things, knowing about the activities the actions, of course, to take with the account. It is making sure that it's safe and secure, and there ain't no problems. And of course, knowing about what the latest updates, the latest news about the account. It is. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about that, I really think the whole truth of the matter is about the service, though, about between education and business, whichever it is, of knowing about that. Yeah, that each person more likely has that. You say that has the ability. It's like so far as being a part of the group, of knowing about whoever that uses the service, though, that this person has that right, that you say, where they can actually present their feedback. It is. And some people that may say that if you wear glasses or on medical equipment, whichever it is, knowing by each person's feedback does not count. Maybe because they don't think that they're qualified, maybe because that they don't have enough experience, or the fact about that, if they're blind or disabled, whichever it is, that they may say that they don't count, or they're not, they shouldn't be taken it anyway. They don't make the rules, etc., etc. But I just really think that the whole matter is that that knowing about that which the whole part about the survey, though, about other than your time, I know about in your own words, that they don't want anything copied off of a notebook or anything like that, written by a the counselor or anything like that. Knowing about that, the whole part about the whole ground rule, knowing about that, it's all about what we think from our experience, and knowing about, do we think that this is a good opportunity for later on for somebody else? Do you recommend this service or this site for somebody else? And really, that I really just think the whole part about it is basically that, do you recommend this to somebody else? Do you recommend this to a friend or a family? It is, do you recommend this this service, this company, to somebody else? And with anybody that may say about a lot of times, though, if you're going to be timed on it, though, and I really just think that tell anybody too. Most of everybody who's taken services before, the survey before for feedback, it is, know about between, giving you cramps or a headache or anything like that, of knowing about that hey, I'm like, your time, what you call, other than, worth credits or worth money or anything like that, of knowing about the whole important purpose that I can tell anybody here about with education, though, that most of us, if we have a GED or a high school diploma, it is, that we may say that that's the only type of degree that you're able to get. And a lot of times I can tell anybody here that I'm like, working on a possibility for like another opportunity for where your future goes to. And on the other hand, too, with the completeness survey, it is, of knowing about, like with the survey, from my own words of saying, knowing about, all about the fact about, if there's a right or wrong answer or not. On our hand, too, that knowing about, we want to know, of course, that they want to know about what you think. And anybody that may say that, everybody's opinion counts. No matter if you're blind, gay, straight, or if you, have, say, the opportunity to where, if you're blind or disabled, it is, knowing about, race of the skin, it is, knowing about that, each and everybody well, more likely would have the opportunity to where they want to say something about, how well was your experience, because like, with the, the use of this product, you say with from the time being of using this site, you say this product it is, knowing about, it's like talking about, from what do you think, of course, about the use of this activity or that. But other than that, I talk about here with Matthew's survey, feedback, so far, say with color activity. Well, hello everyone. It's like if most of us have seen from the activity, though, as you see right here is for Matthew's feedback, the activity it is Matthew's survey feedback it is, and basically you see right here is I went ahead and wrote down right here of like you have right here say a photo like a coloring right here of me it is, and basically though that talk about your responsibilities and of course creating the online account and an experience with our time being of the using of service. And of course if we were to go also have like what you call like a 5-star planner, it is a notebook that we carry around with anything that we want to keep on notes, it is of anything that we write down, it is for our time being knowing about write down notes, it is. But on the other hand too, knowing about that the whole part about the important truth of fact about the surveys. Or I really think that knowing about everybody, everybody's time that they spent working on something it is, and then participating in something, that more likely that most of what you would do if you're going to be asked to complete a survey it is basically knowing about that people want to know about your feedback, about your opinions about most of everything that was done, based on if it was in a classroom or if it was in the conference room or any type of meeting like that. And with some people that may say that, hey, I don't make the rules, don't ask me. Well, what are you asking me for? But on the other hand, too, that the way I would think about, though, that we may not make the rules, but then, of course, we may, have the rights of knowing about, to speak up for what we think about something is. And basically, if it's a whole part about the internet side it is, or if it's anything related to paper mail, documents or anything like that, documentation, and in a work, the use of a program or software or any type of a, if it's automobile licenses or anything like that. And a lot of times that we may say that a lot of our opinions, a lot of times which don't count, because that the rules are the rules, and then going by the payments, if it's going by the payments for which most places say that if you're going to be talking to a representative, or if you're going to be paying online, that you got to go by the rules. But on the other hand, too, that with most surveys, though, that they say that some of the stuff is kept confidential, but then if there's anything that was submitted, that they may say that could be shared with other internet sites. And basically, that what they pretty much say is that a lot of the information that they say that we want to know about what you think, would you recommend this site to somebody else? And I really just think that that's really what most companies are probably saying is, do you recommend this to somebody else? And way I would think about, I've taken quite a few of them before, and I have been honest with them and to tell them the whole truth of the matter is, of knowing about trying to tell everybody the important parts about our future it is. It's with these online sites, though, how well do you think that they are of approving or acknowledging, of course, our thinking skills? It is for anybody who wears glasses, or if it's anybody who's mentally disabled it is. And I just really think that working hard to improve the whole parts about the internet skills it is, and our acknowledgement also, and our learning basis it is. And the whole part about anybody that may say that creating something and then managing something responsibility, and a lot of times that seems like a lot of work just to keep track of. But on the other hand too, that knowing about is like the whole part about if we were to actually write down, it's like talking about going through our notebook it is, to write down, say the date though. It's like the date would be like what you calls like say between Tuesday or Wednesday it is. And for Tuesday, and if it was Wednesday, and Wednesday, and let's say here for February, for February the 5th it is, and we may think that for February the 5th, and a lot of times that talking about like if we were to go ahead right here is like right down on here is like for for 5 it is for 1/5 for 2015, and anybody that may think about, I'm like, yeah, that seems like a lot of work. But on the other hand too, that knowing about between turning the pages, and then it's like what you calls like if we would say go with that so-called joke, it's like what did the paperclip say to the bunny rabbit? It's like, what did the paperclip say to the bunny? Like, and hey, your eye, like, and your eyes are looking sparkles. But other than that, like talking about right here of a talking say with the between the paperclip and the rubber band, and all you had to would say with the pencil or pen or anything like that. I saw for the electronic stapler, but knowing about the whole part about from Matthew's survey feedback it is basically talking about the important parts about is a survey though. Knowing about, I would suggest to anybody that to take the 5 to 10 minutes just to answer a few questions, and with anybody knowing about that the opportunity to knowing about what do they what they think in your own words, and what do you think about the service. And I just really think that that's a whole part about the whole discussion of knowing about what they want to know from everybody's opinion about a whole part about the survey. And some people that may say that they may disagree on the fact about any information they may ask that could be personal or kept confidential, and we say just respect that. And on the other hand too, that we may not all agree on the price estimate that we had to pay for taking care of something, or the time being, about how much trouble it is just to submit some paperwork, or in the mail paperwork it is. But on the other hand too, that knowing about I guess the whole part about, the truth of the matter is like they want to know, of course, about what you think. And on the hand too, so far as for education, for the better, it's like for the future it is. And the way I would think about it is like I mentioned before, knowing about that whenever we create any internet sites, that any internet sites, if it's going to be Facebook page or if it's going to be on YouTube or anything like that, of knowing about that the whole part about responsibility it is of knowing about, like I said before, of knowing about it's like keeping being alert about what's going on the internet site, and then knowing about all the activity, and knowing about anybody probably say about if it's from your own work, and then of course your own understanding about what it is say for your time and your work, and then for what you learned about it. But on the other hand too, that knowing about the truth of the matter is showing the importance, for my opinion, about showing everybody else the importance about how it's used, and then of course what I learned and what I discovered. And I can tell anybody here that with most of the time from what I created, of knowing about that, really, do you really have to create something? I'm like talking about to be proud to be created, to create something. And I could probably say that, well, like me, I can, so far with me, for Manny Mick 25, of knowing about a lot of the activities. Of course, I've done a lot of the schoolwork I've done, and talking about that, I kept thinking about, well, it's useless, but like I say that that's not all true either. Knowing about to keep in mind is you just never know. It's like when this person wants to hear from you, you just never know when the world wants to hear from you. Of knowing about what have you discovered and what have you learned. Of knowing about we all have pretty much a story about our experience about life. I'm talking about for where our life, where our time and moment takes our life. It takes our time being, it's like for what we do in life, for our future it is, the next 5 or 10 years from now, of knowing about from our experience. And people say, you just never know, of course, about, how interesting about anybody that may say that, to be extremely curious of knowing about, that part of the story, of knowing about, that the whole part about the story of knowing about. It's like so far what they say with the survey though. It's like with the survey completed, it is like for the survey feedback of knowing about. It's like, for my opinion, so far as the Matthew's feedback, so far as it's like the survey, the whole meetings, of course, about it's like for what we did, for what we learned, of course. It's like the whole important fact about knowing about is like thinking about is like for the importance for the future of knowing about for anybody like talk about this is a message, of course, you say from Matthew, and talk about you all take care. So anyway, you take care, and I hope to say for best for the future.